Marie-Anne Caroline Quivoron, better known by her married name, Marie Bracquemond, was born in La Donve, in the Finistère department, Brittany, on December the 1st, in 1840, and died in Paris on January 17, in 1916. She was born from an unhappy marriage. His father, a sea captain, died after her birth, and her mother remarried a French painter. With him, they began to travel, and for 5 years they lived in different places between Switzerland and France, moving from Brittany to the canton of Jura, on the border between Switzerland and France, and then in the Auvergne region, where in Corrèze-en-Ussel, in the ancient abbey of Bonnègue, her half-sister Louise was born, and finally in Étampes, near Paris. Marie began to draw and paint as a self-taught. Soon noticed by the Romantic painter Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, she studied for a few years in his studio. According to Marie's words, her master had little esteem for women artists. Furthermore, she said, "The seriousness of Monsieur Ingres throws me. He doubted the courage and perseverance of women in the artistic field. He only made them paint flowers, fruits, natural death, or general scenes." Thanks to him, however, she exhibited for the first time at the Salon of 1859, and then regularly from 1864. Leaving Ingres' studio, Marie decided to continue alone and received several commissions, including one for the court of the Empress Eugenia de Montijo, wife of Napoleon III, for painting by Cervantes, and the director of French museums, who she commissioned copies of the same painting to be exhibited in the Louvre. In 1869, against her mother's advice, she married Félix Bracquemond, also a pupil of Ingres. They met each other at the Louvre, where they both studied and copied the works of the great masters of the past. The following year, their son Pierre was born, portrayed in many of her works, who would become a painter himself. From 1874, the family moved to Sèvres, where they hosted great personalities of the culture of the time, such as Edgar Degas, Edouard Manet, Alfred Sisley, and his wife. She took part in the Universal Exhibition in Paris in 1878, where she produced a large panel made up of several ceramic squares representing the muses of the arts, unfortunately lost, made for the manufacturer Charles Haviland, son of David Haviland, father of famous and unique Limoges ceramics and porcelain. From 1870, her husband Félix became the director of the Parisian atelier in Limoges, giving his contribution as an engraver, and then also collaborating with his wife. Thanks to the panel for the Haviland manufacture, Marie was noticed and appreciated by Edgar Degas, for whom he expressed appreciation, and after that Marie was introduced into the circle of impressionist artists and thus invited to exhibit at the 4th Impressionist exhibition of 1879. In this year, she abandoned the style and teaching of Ingres to embrace this new conception and completely different style of art. She painted more and more interior scenes and landscape en plein air, influenced above all by his admiration for Edouard Manet and Sisley. Thus, she came to exhibit at the 5th Impressionist exhibition of 1880, portrait of a woman in white, together with her husband. As mentioned, she mostly portrayed members of her family in her home, in Sèvres, or in any case in domestic spaces, because it was inappropriate at the time for a woman to paint in public spaces. She also devoted herself to engraving, which led her to create and exhibit etchings. At the occasion of the second exhibition of the Royal Society of Painter-Etchers and Engravers, founded in London in 1880, inspired by the Parisian Société des Aquafortistes. Among them there was her husband, at the Paul Durand-Ruel Gallery. Marie died in Paris on January 17, in 1916. Although overshadowed by her husband, she managed to achieve the right recognition, thanks above all to the several exhibitions of her works, enriched in the course of her life by many different artistic influences.